Hello, good morning, good afternoon, welcome wherever you are located in the world. I'm here in Paris, it's the middle of the afternoon, and happy to welcome you to this office hour session for Back to School 2024 with Wooclap. This is a session that we designed for this year to allow people the time and space to ask any questions that they have about Wooclap. That way we can show you live in real time on our screens how to do certain things with Wooclap. If you have particular questions, we'll be happy to walk you through them. It's a little bit different than our usual open trainings because we're going to talk about a specific theme each time, but allow you to ask questions about anything. Each session has a theme in order to give you a little bit of I would say like a reason to come or some kind of, interest in joining us to see what different tips you could learn about. We'll have a session every week until the end of the month, except the week of the 15th, when we will do our usual What's New session with a special focus on some of Wooclap's AI features. So I see that there's one person joining us, and I wanted to let you know that you should be able to turn your camera on, turn your mic on if you like. No pressure, but these sessions were also designed for, I would say, collaborative feedback. And so you are welcome to jump in. You'll have the questions tab and chat button down at the bottom right as well, if you would rather ask us something in written format. So we'll get started. My name's Jennifer. I'm Wooclap's community builder. I'm very fortunate to be joined today by my colleague Lara from the customer success team. Thanks for being here, Lara. Today we are going to be talking about how Wooclap can help you with hybrid teaching. Now, I've named this session hybrid teaching to kind of, I would say, put a big envelope around all different kinds of teaching that can happen in the classroom and online. And in talking more and more this past year with our partners, I understand that there's different terminologies that are used for different kinds of online learning and online teaching. So I wanted to make it a bit specific from the get-go. We'll be talking about hybrid teaching, where you might have a class session with students who are in the room with you and also students who are online, joining you online from somewhere, from some other location. We'll also be talking about blended learning, where you might have some of your learning in person, some of it online, and maybe in that case, you'll also have courses that are synchronous and courses that are asynchronous. So we're just going to kind of highlight different features of Wooclap that can help you in your work teaching in these different kinds of circumstances. And of course, at the end, we can pause for questions, but we really also want to encourage you to feel free to jump in and ask questions at any point during the session. As always, during a Wooclap webinar, you have at the bottom right a questions tab and also a chat tab. If you have a real specific questions about how to use Wooclap or how to do a particular thing in Wooclap, it would be helpful for us if you popped it into the questions section. Just give us a little bit more of an ability to focus on that, and then I can pop up on the screen and show you how to do what it is that you have a question about. And also, you will receive a resources email at the end of the session with a link to watch the replay if you want to watch it again or if you have other questions. The session, as I mentioned at the beginning, should be about 20 to 30 minutes. Shorter if there are no questions, longer if there are lots of questions, and we're happy to help in any way that we can. So hold on one second. No Wooclap webinar would be complete without a Wooclap, so we'll get started with a couple little Wooclap questions. The event code today that I have customized is Woo Hybrid. So there are a few different ways to join us. You can either scan the QR code with your mobile device, phone, or tablet. You can go to our website and enter the event code Woo Hybrid, or take a look at the chat and we'll pop a link, a direct link to the event in the chat right here. So 3 different ways for you to connect to this Wooclap event and answer just a couple of quick Wooclap questions that I would like to ask you today. Just give a moment for everyone to connect. And I will close the how to participate information now, but you do have the link in the chat. So if you're not connected, feel free to check the chat. So I've said back to school 2024 in one word: tired and crazy. I feel you on that one. I remember what it was like working at a university. I worked at a university for a long time, and it was exactly that: tired and crazy times. Yeah, lots of headache medicine during those couple of weeks right at the beginning of the semester. So we definitely feel you, and we're here to try and give you some support and listen and see how Wooclap can help you at this very often stressful, but I found at the same time very nourishing time of the year when you're getting to know new students and new colleagues. There's a certain energy and a buzz that really keeps you going, right? So I hope some of you are feeling that as well. Now, I also wanted to ask the folks who joined us today how you usually teach. So there's just 2 people connected, but feel free to answer this question if you don't mind. Do you usually teach in person, online asynchronous, online synchronous, or a real mix? I know that depending on the discipline that you teach, you can have a whole combination, or you may be even joining us today, but you don't teach. Sometimes the learning technologists like to join us in these sessions. So you've both said a real mix, which is great. Hopefully some of this information today can be helpful for you. So the first kind of teaching that we'll talk about is hybrid teaching, where you have some students online and some students in the room with you. Now, what are the different features of Wooclap that can help you in those different circumstances? I decided to kind of synthesize this in a few different bullet points to give you some ideas of different things that you can do. The first thing that I think is really interesting is to do icebreaker questions, as I've just done with you now. And we're using Wooclap to do icebreakers. It's a really seamless or streamlined way for you to break the ice with a group of people, no matter where they are located. There are different things that you can use, like the find on an image question, where you ask your participants to click on one of the characters in the image to describe their mood for the day. Those are things that you can find in the examples gallery, which I'll be happy to show you if you're not sure where to find it. And if the students are in the room or if they're online, it doesn't make any difference in terms of the rapidity with which they can respond to you, and also the accessibility that they all have in terms of seeing those responses. And that's also echoed in the second bullet point here, which is that the answers are displayed in real time for all. One of the things that we hear consistently from instructors and professors who are using Wooclap is that it allows them to get answers very quickly from the whole group at the same time. Whereas if they had asked a question previously, prior to using Wooclap, they would have to wait for people to kind of raise their hands, or, raise your hand virtually, go around the room and have everyone respond. Whereas the Wooclap, if you want to ask everybody, how are you feeling today? Or do you remember what we covered last week? You can very quickly receive those answers and also display them. And I think that's really the key with Wooclap, is that the answers are displayed quickly, efficiently, and uniformly for everybody, including those that are online or those that are in person. Another thing that I think is really interesting to use is the I'm confused button. I will quickly show you how that works, because maybe some people aren't aware of it, but I'll exit my presenter view, and down here in the settings of the event, I can turn on I'm confused. And again, it's another one of these features that allows you to offer a possibility for a communication with your learners, no matter whether they are in person with you or they are online. And you'll see here now at the top of the screen, we see 0 people are confused. And if you are participating in this event on your phone, if you still have your phone or your iPad connected, there you go. Somebody's just clicked that they're confused. Thank you for doing that. And then as the instructor, it gives me a signal to say, okay, I need to back up a bit. I need to review the content that I have just presented to my group, maybe go over it in more detail, and then ask them if they have any further questions. And then once you've done that, you can click the little refresh arrow, which will set it back down to 0. And it's one of those things where it's anonymous. So it's quite beautiful that students have the ability to signal to you that they're confused without, identifying themselves or being sort of embarrassed about that. And it works the same way, no matter if somebody is in the room or if they're online. You can also activate the messages wall. It's in the same menu over on the side of the screen, on the right-hand side, up in more settings. And I never use this, so I always forget where it is. Laura probably knows exactly.
If you head back to the main screen.
Yeah.
And then messages, which
messages,
is right.
Exactly. Yeah. I always forget where it is. Thank you, Laura. So messages is one of the main options here in the event. If I click messages and I want to allow my participants to send me messages via the wall, I just have to activate it right here. You can go a little bit further by allowing for likes or images in those messages, which just gives your participants more ways to connect, whether they're in person or virtual. And if I start my event again, after having activated the messages wall, I can click messages over here. There you go. So somebody has said hello in the messages wall. Thanks for that. And as a presenter, the way that I have the notification that there are messages on the wall is with this little envelope that you see here. There was a little number 1 next to it, and it was highlighted as blue because somebody had a question or a message to submit by the messages wall. Just like the I'm confused button, this is something that's totally anonymous. So if your students are really confused about something and they're a bit too embarrassed to raise their hand or to identify themselves, they can submit it on the messages wall. There we go. So now we will talk a little bit about blended learning, which is where you have part of your course that happens in person and part of your course that happens online. And maybe even in the context of a blended learning environment, you might also have some students that only ever join online, even though some of the other students are meeting in person. And so then it becomes blended and hybrid at the same time. One of the pieces of feedback that I heard recently from a learning manager at Duke University in the US was specifically about a master's course that starts in person and then moves online for the rest of the semester. And he told me that he really liked using Wooclap in that kind of learning environment because it allowed him to provide a continuity of experience from one setting to the other, setting expectations for the students about what kind of classroom you're going to be running or organizing or managing, and then having them have those same experiences that they had in person online, which I think is really an interesting way to make them feel comfortable in the classroom, and then to feel comfortable at home or wherever it is that they're learning remotely. Another thing that we talked about earlier with Lara as we were planning this session was about using participant pace to get asynchronous feedback or to test comprehension. I'll go back into the back office of my event just to show you how to set this up if you've never used it before. So you'll be used to seeing your Wooclap event look like this from the back office. Now, in addition to the messages tab, participant pace is one of these tabs up here. If I wanted to take the questions that I asked you at the top of the session and turn them into participant pace questions, I go in here, I'm in participants pace tab, questionnaires, and I click create. I can either create the questions from scratch like I would for any Wooclap event, or I can import them. Usually what I do is I'm a bit lazy and I'll import them directly from the event that I already have open. So right here, Wooclap for hybrid teaching September 3rd. And I can check the box to import the questions that I had already created and put them into the participant pace questionnaire. Once I save, say it wants me to rename it, which I usually do, because you don't want it to be called my new questionnaire. because then they'll all be called My New Questionnaire and you'll forget which one you gave when. Change the name, check the box, and click Save. Now, when it asks if I want to publish it immediately, it's basically asking me if I want the questionnaire to be live and ready to go for my learners, or if I want it to be offline and I'll publish it later. But I'm going to publish it now. And then if I copy this link and I send it to my course, to my participants, they will be able to access the Wooclap questions and answer them anytime. It doesn't have to be when I am live connected to Wooclap and displaying the questions. I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to add, Lara, specifically about participant pace.
Potentially just on the participant pace, you also have the option to add like documents or presentations. So the students, so like say, for example, like this, if you have uploaded a presentation to Wooclap that you did during class and you want students to be able to review it after class, or for example, maybe if you've made a participant pace as like a follow-up questionnaire that they might need to go back on some of the information that they went over in class, you can see in that files button, you have the option to add any kind of class follow-up documents. So that's a great way to add a few extra resources in there, so students can actually access that via the QR code as well. So when they use the code Woo Hybrid or the QR code, this will come up on the screen that they get on their phone when it first comes up.
Awesome. As you've been talking, I've been going into the back office of that event, and you can see there at the bottom files, I added the PDF of the presentation that we presented earlier as a file, just to give you an idea of how it works and how you can do it. And the last thing that we wanted to talk about was using Wooclap in Microsoft Teams. I know a lot of folks are using Microsoft Teams in their blended learning classrooms. So I wanted to unshare my screen and give Lara the opportunity to share her screen to show you how to use Wooclap in Teams.
Perfect. Okay, let's try and see if I can share the right screen.
And I'm just going to try and answer a question we've received from Sinazu Matilia. Thanks for your question. I think I'll just answer it aloud if that's okay for you. I think what you mean is, what do you do when you said, what do you do when you want to see the participants' details? And I think you must mean the responses that you have received from your group. And in that case, you'll go into the participant pace section of your event and you'll click on report, which is one of the items in the same line as the name of your question. I hope that answers your question. And if you want us to show you in real time, we can do that as soon as we're done demonstrating Wooclap in Microsoft Teams. Okay, thanks for your response.
Okay. If I share, I'm gonna have to share my whole screen, but if I let me actually, this is what I'll do. If I make that full screen. Let's see. If I share this, can you see my Teams or am I still on Google?
I see a Teams calendar.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll start now. So Wooclap actually integrates directly with Microsoft Teams. So I know a lot of people use Teams for their online classes. And I know with Teams as well, you're able to set up an online course. So you can put all of your materials and everything into this course or class that you have on Microsoft Teams. So I'm just going to show you how Wooclap integrates with this. So first of all, I'm on, let me go back just so we can, so this is your Microsoft homepage. If you click down on the left, you'll see apps. So if you search in here, Wooclap, we already have it downloaded, but it should come up like this. For us, it says add, but if you don't already have it, it's going to say download. So if you click here, you can click add. It'll give you the option to then add to a team. So you could have a team geography, you could have a team accounting. So I'm going to add this to the team that we have on this account. So I'm going to set up a new tab in this team called Wooclap. And I'm just going to log in. Perfect. So I'm logged in. And then I'm going to select an already existing account, an already existing event. You can also create an event on this. But I'm going to create this or add this previously existing event, this geography, which I've spelled wrong. So let's save that here. And then you can see that this has been added to a tab in this team. So then to integrate it then directly with the event, or say if you have class on 3 o'clock on a Monday, you can integrate this Wooclap event directly with that class. I'm going to go to this calendar here. So if I have class, I'm going to create a new meeting. Can you see my meeting screen?
Yep.
Perfect. So let's call it Geography 3. And then I'm going to save this. We now see that we have the Geography 3 meeting, which has been set up for 3:30 on Tuesday, the 3rd of September. So I'm then going to re-click on this event and go into Edit. You'll then see all these options up here at the top. So just like Q&A, there's a plus button. So we're going to click on the plus and add a new app. So because I've searched for it just before, you want to integrate Wooclap. So I'm going to click on this. Select an existing event, Geography 3, save. So students can then directly access this from the Teams course, and you yourself can also access it directly from here. So when you're presenting it and everything like that. So I'm just going to give you an example then of actually in the course. So I'm going to join the course meeting. Of course, it doesn't start at 3:30, but I'm going to join now. Yeah. Just to show you what it looks like. I'll leave my camera off. Can you see the screen that I have up now?
Yeah.
Perfect. So then you see this Wooclap icon up here at the top because we've added Wooclap to the course. So if we click here, so you as the presenter are obviously going to present your screen. So on Wooclap, you're going to present the event, or from the courses that we've added it to, as I showed you before. Present your event, share that screen. And then this is what's going to appear on the student side. So they're going to have this Wooclap icon that pops up in the corner here. And they're going to be able to vote directly from the Teams event without having to switch over to the Google tab or the Safari tab or anything like that. So it just makes it a lot easier for you to continue speaking, continue the event, continue teaching while the students just vote. And then as soon as they vote, then it's out of the way. So I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to start the event. So if I display this, hopefully this will come up. If not, let's exit this and let's do that again.
Cool.
Well, yeah, it's cool. It's a handy way to have it integrated.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's a nice little trick to learn if you do use Microsoft Teams. Of course, you can do it the normal way of just sharing your screen on the Wooclap website, but it's a nice little.
Yeah, it's nice to sort of integrate it that way, especially if you're using Teams a lot. Cool. Thank you so much, Laura.
No problem.
I will pause for a sec just to ask the room if people have questions. It doesn't look like it, but I thought I would just pause for a moment. And I don't see anyone typing, so I will move along to the last slide or two that we have in the presentation today. Do you love Wooclap? Let us know. Help other teachers, trainers, and facilitators find our tool. We would love it if you were so moved as to leave us a review. If you scan this QR code, it'll bring you to our G2 page, which is an online tech tools review page. And we would love it if more people left us reviews to help others be able to find our tool easily. So thank you so much. If you have 30 seconds or 45 seconds at the end of the session to scan the code and just leave us a quick review, we would really appreciate it. And last but not least, of course, if you have other questions, do let us know. And you're also more than welcome to write to us at info@wooclap.com. That's our generic email address for the whole company. So if you've got any kind of question after the session, don't hesitate, and your message will find its way to the right person who can answer you. We thank you so much for joining us today for the second edition of Office Hours. Join us next week. I know that we have large groups coming up and Wooclap AI for the What's New session. And there's a last one, and the theme is escaping me right now. But if you have a
think for the office hours.
What did you say?
Gamification.
Gamification, exactly. Thanks, Lara. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you very soon on Wooclap. Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.